It's Monday, August 28. In the headlines, 50 new JUTC buses cleared from the wharves and CXC concerned about cheating in exams. In business news, we feature another young boss plus your usual market updates. Regionally, Barbados and the UN International Organization for Migration signed cooperation agreement. Internationally, U.S. President Joe Biden says no place for white supremacy in the U.S. after Florida racist attack. And in sports, Jamaica places 4th at World Athletics Championship. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. 315 JUTC buses will be rolled out daily during the new academic year. Jamaica Urban Transit Company received 50 new buses last week to bring the daily fleet to that total. Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Darrell Vaz, was on hand at Kingston Wharves Limited, where the buses were being offloaded from a vessel. The shipment included 5 40-seater electric buses, 40 45-seater compressed natural gas buses, and 5 CNG buses with a capacity of 34, which will facilitate disabled passengers.
What this will allow us to do is get the new buses in and take some of the older buses out to repair them. We've been doing it because we didn't know when these buses would come, so that's huge. And I want to commend the JUTC management and of course the maintenance staff and them.
Mr. Vaz noted that there were some delays in getting the buses into the island based on the type of vessel that was used to ship them.
It is pretty much standard that when you're shipping buses or motor vehicles, you use roll-on, roll-off ships, meaning you drive them on, drive them off. What you can see here is that each one of these 50 buses have to be lifted by a crane. The delay was caused because it had other stops, because it had other cargo. It was held up in Costa Rica for over 4 weeks because they had to wait on a particular berth. So lessons learned that any buses being ordered by the government of Jamaica in the future will be specified in terms of the shipping terms, because the buses would have been here long ago.
The buses arrived last Monday and were off the wharves within a week. Minister Vaz thanked Kingston Wharves Limited and the Jamaica Customs Agency for their urgency in facilitating the offloading.
For that, we have a situation that we will take until probably about midnight, 1 o'clock, to be able to lift each of these. I want to thank Kingston Wharves for facilitating this, based on the urgency of them and the closeness to back to school, and also Customs Department who has worked with us today to make sure that we can clear the vehicles, the buses, and get them off to the depot immediately to start the pre-service to get them out. I would hope that we can get these buses out on the road within the next week.
The Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, is raising alarm over a high number of irregularities in exams, which includes cheating and the use of cell phones. CXC's Director of Operations, Dr. Nicole Manning, spoke about the issues on Thursday as she released the preliminary May-June 2023 CXC results. She first addressed the breaches reported in May.
The CSEC Mathematics Paper 2 on the 17th of May 2023, when it added a few gray hairs to my head, and I'm sure quite a few to the registrars also.
Dr. Manning said an alternative math paper 1 was developed and administered in Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago.
Due to the stolen papers, of course, we could not have left those students because it would have been their scripts. They would have sat the paper on the 13th of June, and it would have been their scripts that were stolen from a fireproof cabinet. The whole cabinet was taken, so there's nothing they could have done. So we administered another exam on the 7th of July. 4 candidates were also affected by flooding in Trinidad and Tobago, and those candidates also sat the same examination.
Dr. Manning also notes the non-submission of SBAs by some candidates. For example, in Cape, she says 90,299 candidates had registered, but 5,440 candidates did not submit their SBAs.
This is a concern for us. We started and we're going around to stakeholders, and we are encouraging not only the students, the principals, teachers, but our parents to work with our students in completing those school-based assessments. For CSEC, you have 2 years. For CAPE, it's 1 year. And it's important to note that while everything is going back to normal for 2024, for 2023, we actually even held the reduced amount of requirements for CAPE for 2023. So we're at this stage now because industry, higher education requires that the candidates have all the requisite, all the competencies to enter higher education space.
Viewers were reminded that no submission of an SBA means ungraded. The use of cell phones is still a big issue.
Candidates this year took cellular phones, used cellular phones in the exam, not only to have it in their bags, but literally on their persons, and utilizing it. We have also seen the introduction of the smartwatches. And so that is another cause for concern, but the Council is doing a full review of its regulation to ensure that all of these devices are also noted.
Dr. Manning said there were 36 cases of irregularities this year compared to 37 last year and 30 in 2021. Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Welcome to the Business Report. I'm Danita Rodney. This week's Young Boss is all about tantalizing your taste buds with sweet and spicy pepper sauces and jellies. She is Danielle Pinnock, CEO of Sweeties Gem.
Hi, my name is Danielle Pinnock, CEO of Sweeties Gem, the sweet and spicy we all love. I love making pepper sauce, but I don't eat pepper. I'm afraid of pepper. But my partner, he loves pepper. So I always make pepper sauce for him. And how the business idea came about, I was working somewhere that I was very unhappy there, and I don't know, it just come in my head, why not try like a pepper jelly, so I just write it down. I went home the evening and I Google it, YouTube, because I never know, the idea just popped up in my head. I was in bed one night and the name, I wanted to use my nickname. So, hold on. My nickname is Puggy. So I wanted to use Puggy Peppers Jelly, PPP. I was like, no, my sister said no. So the name of the business is Sweeties Gem. And Sweetie is the name of my grandfather. He died in 2017. And Gem is the name of my grandma. She died last year. So my sister said, why not use both? So I said, how are we going to combine both? So, we're playing with the names until we get Sweeties Gem. And the slogan, the sweet and spicy we all love. Of the two, my grandfather, Daddy, he was the sweet one. And my grandma, she was the spicy, feisty one. So everything just mixed. I'll make some batch and it will look red, some will look green, some will look yellow, because I don't put any color in it. It is just 100% natural, 100% Scotch bonnet pepper, because that's what I use. So it is all natural. It has been good. They call me the pepper lady whenever I go. I haven't had anybody that taste it and like, this not taste good, or everybody love it. My partner is very supportive. He's very supportive. So when I started, I was a bit doubtful, but as I said, he's a pepper person, and he said to me, this tastes really nice, and try it, make other people try it and hear what them say, and yeah, My favorite part is telling people about my product. Yeah, that is the favorite part. Go ahead, just do it. It makes no sense you sit and you have doubts, or what if this don't work out. And to be honest, I've always wanted to have my own business. I try enough something, I'm not going to lie, like a whole heap of something, but this is what works for me. And I think because I love making pepper sauce, yeah, this is it. I'm just online, yes, at Swiddys_gem, that is SWIDDYS_gem. The number is there as well, I can call, and I do delivery, and for now it's free, so yeah.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Friday, August 25, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.53. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $115.19. The pound sterling traded for $198.92, and the euro sold for $170.88. In JSE trading, the JSE index advanced by over 23 points. The junior market index advanced by 0.28 points. The combined market index advanced by over 24 points. And the all Jamaican composite index declined by over 1,591 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 96 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 41 declined, and 12 traded firm. Stocks advanced for AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Trading firm were Cargo Handlers Limited, Epley Limited, and Jamaican Teas Limited. The overall volume leaders were Stanley Motor Limited ordinary shares with over 6 million units, Jamaican Teas Limited with over 2 million units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 1 million units. In regional stocks in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund was a sole security trading 11 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, First Caribbean International Bank was the volume leader with over 600 shares. They were followed by Emira Deposit Receipt, which traded 30 shares. In regional business in Trinidad and Tobago, following a 10% wage increase demand by the TNT Airline Pilots Association, some trade union leaders are saying the request is not unreasonable.
Union leaders have weighed in on the 10% wage increase call made by the TNT Airline Pilots Association for the Caribbean airline pilots. Communication Workers Union Secretary General Clyde Elder told Business Watch earlier today the demand is more than reasonable for the period 2015 to 2020.
So the 4% was not reasonable, and the 10% being demanded by the Pilots Association, it is more than reasonable. And I say that against the backdrop that we have had increases in cost of living beyond 10%. We have seen increases in fuel allowance and fuel prices beyond 10%. We have seen that the purchasing power of one's dollar has deteriorated beyond 10%.
National Union of Government and Federated Workers President General James Lambert says CAL or the government should not deem the 10% increase as unreasonable because of the hours and specialized skills to fly an aircraft.
Because the government is not disclosing the reason why they are saying, as they have done with the 4%. Nobody brought anything to the table indicating what the economic situation is. All that they're telling you, the economy is not as what it's supposed to be.
The sick-out action by the pilots last weekend also affected the business community. Greater San Fernando Chamber of Commerce President Kiran Singh said many business owners in San Fernando who were scheduled to fly out those 2 days had to reschedule their meetings.
Remuneration that will offer some passenger is not significant cover towards that whatever it is. of transport, local transport, get from resident or business places in South Trinidad to the airport.
TNT Chamber of Industry and Commerce Chief Executive Officer Stephen DeGans says the business community and the passengers understood the situation as Carl was calling to give updates on the cancelled flights. Carl has since said it has been able to fully restore all flights.
Communications did help, and there were students who were affected and there were business people affected, but generally, as it was only for 1 day or 1.5 days, people felt that Carl was making they were really attempting to sort it out quickly.
In international business, U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo arrived in Beijing on Sunday, where reports say she will hold talks with China on trade.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo met with Chinese officials in Beijing late on Sunday, the start of a 4-day visit aimed at boosting business ties between the world's two largest economies. She's the first U.S. Commerce Secretary to make an official trip to China in 7 years. Relations are tense as the United States works with allies to block China's access to advanced semiconductors, while Beijing is restricting shipments from prominent chip company Micron. Raimondo will hold bilateral meetings with Chinese officials on Monday and Tuesday in Beijing before she heads to Shanghai. She will be joined by U.S. Ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns. The Commerce Secretary spoke to President Joe Biden ahead of the trip. The president's message? That enhanced dialogue with China can ease tensions. Raimondo emphasized she would tell Chinese officials, quote, "When it comes to national security, we don't negotiate, we don't give concessions, we don't compromise." The United States is using government incentives and tax policy to wean American businesses off Chinese supply chains and ramp up U.S. semiconductor production. But Raimondo has said, quote, "Just because we're investing in America does not mean at all that we want to decouple from China's economy."
In market data for oil was later changed after China took steps to bolster its flagging economy, though investors remained worried about the pace of growth, as well as further U.S. interest rate hikes that could dampen demand. Brent crude slipped 7 cents to $84.41 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude gained 3 cents to $79.86. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, the path has been cleared for the United Nations International Organization for Migration to establish a country and Caribbean office in Barbados. On Friday, Foreign Affairs Minister Kerry Simmons and the IOM's Regional Director Michelle Klein-Solomon signed the deal at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Barbados therefore reiterates the importance of the presence and work of the IOM Country Office in the Caribbean, and we applaud its work through regional efforts to provide a coordinated and comprehensive response to all migrants, refugees, returnees, asylum seekers, and stateless persons. Finally, we pledge to contribute to the discussion that advances the vision set forth in the Global Compact on Refugees and the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration, which is anchored in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
Barbados will not only host our country office, but also a critical part of our coordination office for the Caribbean. And our Caribbean coordinator, as I mentioned, Patrice Quesada, will be double-hatted. Chief of Mission here for IOM in Barbados, but also our Caribbean coordinator. And that was a decision. He will be arriving next week, and we'll look forward to him coming to present his credentials to you at the earliest possible available moment. He will be working together with a team of experts. We plan to bring 8 people here as a starting point in different fields of migration governance, everything related to climate change and the mobility of people, to disaster risk reduction and preparedness, to labor mobility, to diaspora engagement, and of course, as you said, rightly, Minister, working against the criminal aspect.
As small island developing states continue to face the effects of climate change, St. Kitts and Nevis has called for more resource mobilization without high debt at the GEF7 in Canada. More from ZIZ News.
Environment and Climate Action Minister, the Honorable Dr. Joel Clark, made the petition on behalf of the Federation, the region, and other SIDS during her presentation.
Although we commend the engagement, increased effort is needed to fully address resource mobilization in a manner that does not further compound the cycle of indebtedness, which is a prevailing risk to the creation of a resilient environmental, economic, and social development landscape in large ocean SIDS, particularly within the Caribbean region.
She highlighted actions the Federation has taken to protect itself from the effects of climate change and improve resilience.
In this context, we embrace the opportunity to secure multi-island partnerships working with our Caribbean neighbors of France, the Netherlands, and the United States. St. Kitts and Nevis has made clear its own call to action for protecting biodiversity, addressing plastic pollution and marine waste, and promoting sustainability through its transformation plan to become a sustainable island state premised on innovation, inclusion, justice, biodiversity protection, climate resilience, and social protection, and importantly, the radical transformation of the energy sector.
She advocated for continued dialogue to achieve the SDGs and other ambitions by 2030.
Even as countries are witnessing a slight increase in the number of COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations, this is not the case in Trinidad and Tobago. This from Minister of Health Terence Delsing. He was responding to questions on the new variants EG5 and FL151, which have caused a spike in cases in other countries like the United States of America.
The World Health Organization declared the EG5 a variant of concern on August 9th. EG5 is a sublineage of the Omicron variant of concern. 2 cases of the variant were detected in TNT, first on June 29th and then on July 13th.
Increase in numbers of persons coming in for COVID. What we are picking up, and Dr. Arthur can talk about, is incidental COVID. What is incidental COVID? So I am coming in for surgery. I have to do whatever, appendectomy, whatever. And we test you and we find out you are COVID positive.
He said there are approximately 35 people currently hospitalized with COVID-19 at the San Fernando General Hospital, Couva Hospital, and Cora Hospital, mainly with incidental COVID.
It's concerned, but at this stage of the pandemic, where it is no longer a major public health concern, the advice is going to be take the usual public health precautions, because the days of shutting down anything are long, long gone.
In international news, hundreds of people have gathered at prayer vigils and in church to mourn the killing of 3 black people in Florida at the hands of a white man. As President Joe Biden said, there was no place for white supremacy in the United States. More from Al Jazeera.
The youngest victim was 19. Another was 29. The eldest was 52. All 3 were at the store, just like any normal Saturday. All 3 were black.
They will try to sterilize what happened and blame mental health issues, but racism is not a mental health issue.
Come on, you ought to look at your neighbor.
The community of Jacksonville, Florida, grieved the loss at multiple vigils on Sunday. One was held at a historically black university, 1 kilometer from the shooting scene. Police say the shooter, 21-year-old Ryan Palmetter, had driven to the university first. They say he stopped at a parking lot where he donned a bulletproof vest, mask, and rubber gloves. Campus security guards spotted him and told him to leave. He did, and the guards alerted police. 10 minutes later, Palmetter is seen in surveillance footage opening fire on the first victim, who was inside her car parked outside the Dollar General store. Then he walks through the door and kills 2 others before killing himself.
Anyone who enters into a store and does this to perfectly innocent people one doing his job, a couple of customers, is baffling to me. It's very difficult for me to watch, and I've seen a lot over 32 years.
Police say Palmetter's manifesto, discovered by his father, who quickly alerted authorities, detailed a hatred for black people. He had no criminal record, but police visited him in 2016 for a fight with his brother and again in 2017 to conduct a mental health check. That did not prevent Palmetter from legally purchasing the weapons he used in Saturday's shooting, a handgun and an AR-15 rifle bearing hand-painted swastikas. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who opposed efforts to tighten state gun laws after the 2018 Parkland High School shooting, faced jeers at the Jacksonville Victims Memorial.
We are not going to let people be targeted based on their race. We are going to stand up and we are going to do what we need to do to make sure that evil does not triumph in the state of Florida.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, white supremacy was behind 80% of extremism-related murders in the U.S. last year. The FBI has opened civil rights and hate crime investigations into the Jacksonville shooting. Heidi Jo Castro, Al Jazeera, Washington.
In sports, the PBCJ applauds the Jamaica track and field team in its fourth place finish at the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary. Jamaica, with 12 medals, 3 gold, 5 silver and 4 bronze, finished behind the United States, Canada and Spain. Minister of Sport Olivia Grange, in congratulating the team, notes in a statement that, quote, "We are the only Caribbean country in the top 10 on the medal table, and only the United States with 29 medals won more medals than Jamaica," end quote. Naming all of those who stood on the podium, Minister Grange says, quote, "Jamaica shone in Budapest, proud and strong. We look forward to the Olympics in France in 2024, end quote. Jamaica's women's 4x400 meters relay team capped off a solid 2023 World Athletics Championships with a silver, lifting the country to 12 medals, its second best ever medal haul at the event. The USA won 29 medals, 12 gold, 8 silver and 9 bronze, while Canada finished second with 6, 4 gold and 2 silver, and Spain third with 5 medals, 4 gold, 1 silver. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBC Jamaica. And remember, we are the People's Station.